Today's video is going to be vertical because I'm doing it with my phone. And it's a message that I hope will resonate with everyone. With everyone that has to deal with creating a stage persona to perform on stage and get the most deserved attention that they want for their message. Hope you enjoy it. I read a sentence the other day that says that the organs in our body, they will shed the tears that the eyes cannot. And that got me wondering that those things that you have trapped inside of you, once you step on the stage, will become a manifestation of your presence and also your fears, but mainly what you think you can do and what you have to say to the world. Now, we all have a story to tell. There's no question about it. It's how we tell it that will create an atmosphere of attention by others. And we all crave for attention, of course, because if we don't have the attention that we need to tell our story, we will feel demotivated. And so you get yourself into this cycle where you need the attention, but you have to perform in order to have that attention. And a lot of people feed on their audience's engagement. And when they don't give the audience what the audience is looking for, or they don't create a sense of surprise and awe, the audience will feel like they want to move on. And some people sometimes even leave the room. I've been in situations where people were in the wrong room or they just didn't like my presentation and they left the room. And that obviously had an effect on my mood. So attention is something that you seek, but how well do you think you are in terms of the world needs to hear what I have to say? How in balance do you think you are? Will play a big role. I have advice if you feel that you are in this situation, that you want to have more attention, that you think that your story will deserve. Get ready to perform. Now, in past episodes of these videos, I've talked a lot about tools that you can use, using silence, combating the fears. But let's say you are on stage and you feel completely at peace with the stage. You have a story that you think is compelling, but now is a question to perform. And you are not a performer, or at least you think you don't feel like you are a performer. You don't feel like you are a performer means that you want people to focus on your message and not in yourself. But see, people will focus on you because you are on stage, you are the performer. Unless you have video and lots of imagery behind you and you want to feel like you are a voiceover of your own presentation, I've never been a big fan of deferring the attention to a screen that sits behind you. Um, it will work with some parts of a presentation, but not with the whole presentation itself. So in order to perform, you need to see yourself as a performer. You need to see yourself not as an entertainer, but someone that will perform and create an atmosphere where the message will be conveyed to an audience, not only in a way they will understand it, but in a way they will enjoy it. They will enjoy hearing you. They will enjoy to hear your story. And that's where the storyline comes. I will make a series of videos about how to build a storyline. And without a strong storyline, there's no way to move ahead. But on today's video, what I'm talking about is performing and what tips and tricks will make you a performer. Let me tell you three things that will help you grab your audience as a performer. The first one are the visuals. The way you talk, the way you project your voice, the way you dress, and the way you move, and the way you use your hands. All of these things will create a stage persona with which the audience will connect or will not connect. Not everyone will connect, but you have to put your best voice from your core. You have to warm your voice. You have to project your voice to the audience. Sometimes, even if you have a microphone, that will not be enough. It's very important that you project your voice the same way I'm doing it right now here in the middle of the woods. And you will have to see the stage as does not have a microphone. Of course, no one would like to see you scream at an audience when your voice is amplified by a microphone, but bear in mind that your voice needs to come from your core. The second visual are the gestures that you make on stage, the way you move and the way you move your hands. If you feel contracted, people will see that probably you don't have a lot of confidence in what you're saying. If you move your arms a lot, probably you're trying to convince them of something that you don't even believe yourself. So it's a matter of creating a balance that you will feel comfortable with. So if you want to sit still or stay still, that can also work as long as your voice as the whole ensemble works. The third thing, which is what you're going to wear on stage. There's always an attire that will be appropriate for a specific audience, but there's freedom for you to be yourself. And you should always be the best self you can be with the implications of the environment, of the setting, with the implications of the sphere where you feel yourself. So my advice would be, if it's a professional setting, that you use professional attire that you feel comfortable with, but you can always use something else. You can just wear a t-shirt that says something provocative, and a pair of jeans and tennis shoes, whatever makes you feel that you are in control of your own persona, of your own stage persona. Now that those are the visuals, but how do you perform? And one thing I think you need to grab the audience is the audience's curiosity. I said earlier that you would like to go on stage and grab people's attention to your message and to the way you're giving it, and all that is a performance. But grabbing the attention is using tools that will get people sipping every word you say and every sentence. And so the first thing you could do, and you can try doing this in the context of the whole storyline, is to ask a question in the beginning for which people will expect an answer at the end of the presentation or at some point of the presentation. Um, Ask a question, but before asking a question, create a setting, uh, create a context in which people will understand the question, will relate with the question, and will actually want to see the answer. Because if you ask a question that people don't relate with, no one will care. So create that setting, create that introduction, create that context, and then ask a question for which you're not going to give the answer right away, and for which is going to start and continue building your message. And that is a critical technique to keep people's attention throughout your presentation and increase the level of feedback and the level of energy that you're getting from the audience, because an engaged audience will provide you the fuel that you need to perform. Now, the other way to be a best performer on stage and to keep your audience engaged, and as a consequence of that, you feel more energized on stage, is to create elements of surprise throughout your presentation. Now, people probably will figure out what you have to say in the first 5 to 10 minutes, and then they will try to figure you out and figure out what you're going to say next. That's a natural thing that we have where we try to understand and predict what's coming next. And you're going to have to surprise these people because you're going to have to create elements within your presentation, within your stage presence. Either those are two different things. Create elements of surprise on stage and create elements of surprise in the presentation are two different techniques. I'm gonna give you two examples in a minute. But you have to make sure people are not figuring you out entirely throughout your presentation. Remember, they have a question on their heads that you don't have an answer for them yet, but at the same time, you shouldn't let them figure out where you're going. Now, one thing you can create is a moment that you're not expecting on stage. For instance, you make a mistake or you drop something and that's on purpose, or you have a stage prop where you pull in something. I saw this presenter that was talking about an innovation that was on the field of seeds, and he took those seeds out and showed it to the audience. A glass tube with the seeds, and this is our invention. And that's very powerful to use those props. People are not expecting that. So, stage props, stage surprises, your voice, um, something physical that will create a surprise is more a physical performance type of gimmick, or even being like a mime on stage where you don't say things and then something happens. It's up to you to find what you feel comfortable with. But the twists and turns within your presentation to create surprise for the people, those are equally powerful, but they will stay with the audience for longer. So these are not instantaneous things that you use to create surprise. These will be twists and turns in the story that you will create to surprise people and actually make them memorize your presentation. The last thing you want to do is be predictable on stage. But you need to be careful because there's a very fine line between creating a environment where people don't understand the direction where you're going and actually surprising them. And surprising them means that you're actually going in a direction that they are understanding. So first you need to explain very well what direction that is and then surprise them. So that's also something that will keep people engaged. Once you have a happy audience, you're going to have energy coming from them, and their energy is going to fuel you and will motivate you to keep going with your performance, which, again, as I've mentioned, is a combination of all these three elements: your stage presence, your visual stage presence, in terms of how you project your voice, how do you move around, what gestures do you do that will look natural, how do you dress, how natural do you look in that what you're wearing. Also, creating a question at the beginning that you're not going to answer, but that they will care about, and then creating elements of surprise throughout a plot that they are understanding. Now, being a good stage performer is all about being in peace with yourself and making sure that the message that you have to say to the world is something that you truly believe and that's inside of you. And that does not happen very often if you do it for your profession, or if it's something that you have to present regularly and it's always the same message and there's not a lot of variations you can do. But remember, your stage persona is a combination of a persona that does not exist in real life and yourself. And you yourself are the authenticity element in that persona. The message and the performance are the other elements that only exist on stage. Now, if you feel this is daunting and challenging, I have been coaching lots of people with practice to do this, and you will find in my Become the Stage Heroes webpage the possibility to join our newsletter. And there you can also find a link to schedule a 45-minute session with me and see if something, probably public speaking coaching, is something for you. Like this video, don't forget to drop me a like, subscribe to the channel, and maybe comment and share your experiences on stage trying to be a performer. And maybe this video is not for you, but someone that you know. So sharing is caring. Don't be afraid to share this video with someone else. Take care, and as always, hope it helps.